Welcome back to Craftsman David. In this episode I'm going to teach you how to sharpen and balance your lawnmower blade the right way. Look very carefully at these two engines. You'll notice this one is straight on, this one is about 30 degrees off of center. That's because for many years this lawnmower was run and nobody sharpened or balanced the blade. And what happened was eventually the out of balance blade jiggles the motor loose and it breaks free of the base. A few years ago I had to rotate this engine, drill new mounting holes, and remount the motor to the base. I've been using it this way for about 4 years and it's worked pretty well. So the first problem is accessing the underside of your mower to get the blade off. What I've done here is put them on sawhorses. Make sure they're nice and stable before you crawl around under here. This also comes in real handy because the oil plug is right here and I can drain the oil by putting a pan under here. It's pretty easy. And to remove the blade, I like to use an impact driver. It rotates so fast that it prevents the motor from turning. It doesn't have to be an air-powered impact. I have an electric, just a standard driver for screws. Takes it off real fast. Now the first thing to do is to clean the blades, and you can see I've already cleaned this one up quite nicely. I got the bright idea to make this video after I cleaned it up. I still haven't sharpened it, but I'll get to that later. And all that gunk can throw off your attempts to balance the blade after sharpening, which is the most important step to prevent damage to your mower. So clean all that off with a good wire brush. But to clean this blade up so perfectly, I didn't use a handheld wire brush, I used a power wire brush. You get the idea. So first I want to assess the two blades. This front blade is for the newer looking mower and it's quite dull. This edge is totally blunted off. And it's got a little bit of a divot right here, but I should be able to grind that off. I can tell that this blade has never been sharpened before because the grind angle is too perfect. It's got to be the factory grinding still. The back one is for my older mower, and I've had this quite a few years and I've reground this blade quite a few times. There's kind of a large divot here that I never was able to get out. You can see that this edge is pretty complicated, the way it comes over, comes down, comes over. It's very hard to replicate the factory grinding, so part of resharpening lawnmower blades, you just have to accept that you're not going to be as perfect as the factory. So I'm going to use this bench grinder to sharpen these blades, and like most bench grinders, I've got a fine grain wheel and a coarse grain wheel. This side removes material quick but leaves a coarse edge. This removes material slower but leaves a finer edge. So I want to take out large divots on this wheel and I want to finish with this wheel. A few features that are handy on this specific grinder. These shields, I'll have them up in the video, but normally I have them down. This is just so you can see it better. It's got variable speed. I'm going to leave that as low as possible because heat is your enemy. And this light I'm going to leave off because it messes with the camera. The tool rests I've adjusted so that they're as close as possible to the factory angle. And one word of caution about grinders, whether it's benchtop, handheld, any type of grinder, always wear safety glasses. If there's any tool in your shop you're going to wear safety glasses for, it's this one. I actually had the experience a number of years ago where a piece of abrasive hit me in the eye. I had to go to the emergency room to have it removed and get antibiotics. And no surprise, I've worn safety glasses ever since. But I don't want you to learn the lesson the hard way. Wear them up front. As you start grinding, push lightly at first to make sure you're not overheating the blade. And I can start to see where my grinding is, the new shiny surface. I want that to go all the way across in one plane. There we go, one shiny surface. Ah, look at that, I got a little bit of blue metal there, that's bad. So I've got a little water, just cool it off. You don't want to get that blue metal and I'm going to grind that off. Notice also that the way that most lawnmowers rotate, it's much easier to use the wheel that's on the left than it is on the right because I hit this wheel when I'm trying to grind over here. So that also helps me. I have the coarse stone on this wheel, so if I want to grind out a big divot, I don't make a perfect grind. I'm kind of off a little bit, and then I'll come back to this side and clean that up. So here's a proper grind. All three surfaces are shiny. I don't have any blue metal showing. I've ground all that off and I can feel with my glove that they're sharp. So I'm going to stop right there. Now I'll do the other side. Now I want to point out this one I must have hit something because the tip of this blade is actually bent down. To get rid of that, I'm going to grind it on the underside. Now if I've got that divot flat on the bottom, I can grind all the way across. There, now I've got this edge nice and sharp. I'm happy with that. The final piece is balancing. I've got a screwdriver clamped to my workbench. It's very important that the screwdriver is round. It's not a square one. So you can see this regular screwdriver has a square. This Phillips screwdriver has a round shank. Now take the blade you're trying to balance and just center the hole over the screwdriver. I typically do it by eye, which gets me close enough. But if I let it go, tips to this side. It always tips to this side, so this is the heavy side, and I gotta try to grind a little more off. And to grind more off, I typically just go over those same edges again. Still heavy, so I'll take a little more off. So I'll test it again. Oh, take a little off the other side. Oh, I think I got it. Ah, see, it went both ways. I think that the error lies with where I'm placing it, which is close enough. If you can't eyeball the center of a screwdriver, then that's within the realm of error. And see, look at that. This is acceptable. This is great. 2 mowers means I'll get done twice as fast.